Daniel can trust this kind old expert. If Henry Pettigrew says the duck is good, then the duck is good. Hello everyone, you're watching YouTube. I'm Isaac and this is 10,000 Pretty Good Books, the channel for parents who want to help their small children develop good taste in reading. And it's time for a review of Daniel's Duck, written by Clyde Robert Bulla, illustrated by Joan Sandin, and published by HarperCollins in 1979. The story takes place in the Tennessee mountains in the days of the pioneers. Young Daniel wants to learn how to carve things out of wood like his older brother Jeff, who shows a lot of promise. Their parents believe that Jeff may grow up to be as good as Henry Pettigrew, the greatest woodcarver in all of Tennessee. When Daniel wants to give it a try too, his father gives him a good knife and a block of wood. Daniel takes some time first to think, and then after a stretch of days, begins to carve a duck, looking backward. When spring arrives, Daniel and Jeff and their parents go to the fair, where they hope to sell everything that they have made during the long winter nights. People at the fair are awed into silence when they see a lifelike deer hand-carved by Henry Pettigrew himself. But they laugh when they see Daniel's duck. Daniel becomes upset, grabs his duck, and runs to the river to try to throw it in. He is pursued by an old man who explains to him gently that the people at the fair laughed not because the duck is ugly, which it isn't, but because it made them happy to see it. It is a good duck. The old man, of course, is the expert woodcarver Henry Pettigrew himself, and he and Daniel sit in the shade by the river to talk, with a final exchange too good to give away. Before I get to my commentary, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You never know when I'm going to review your favorite childhood book. Okay, back to the review. I'm terribly excited about this book, which was only recently recommended to me. Let me start with the two brothers. Jeff, the older brother, who's got some visible talent, is described as carving a cup, a dish, and a spoon, and then working on a more difficult project, a box to bring to the fair. Jeff carves practical things meant to be used. Daniel, the younger brother, despite criticism and warnings about how hard it is to do from his older brother, insists that if he had a good knife and some wood, he could carve an animal. Daniel carves something aesthetic, something to be looked at and enjoyed. Jeff has talent, but he doesn't have Daniel's eye for life, as he criticizes Daniel for doing it wrong when Daniel carves the duck with his head looking backwards. Daniel, of course, is recreating a lifelike duck moment. That's something ducks do, and it's dynamic, not static. Daniel has the soul of an artist. Before he even begins to carve his block of wood, he spends a few days simply thinking about what he intends to make. He first ponders his vision, unafraid to take a period of thoughtfulness to fix the idea of the final state of his work in his mind before working with the actual material. Which brings me to your favorite segment and mine, the second best picture in this book. Joan Sandin's illustrations are quiet and still and darkened during the winter, with more liveliness at the spring fair, but with a lovely, subdued orange and green color palette throughout. In this picture, Daniel is sitting by the winter fire in the family log cabin, barefoot, thinking about what lies within the pure material potential of the uncarved block of wood beside him. I like to make things. I like to write poetry. I like to put on plays. This image of the early blank page stage of making really appeals to me. All right, that was the second best picture in this book. If you want to see the best one, you've got to pick up a copy. I love when Henry Pettigrew explains to Daniel that the people at the fair were not laughing in mockery at his duck, but in delight. Because the duck is delightful and charming. It does not have delicacy or complexity, but neither is it rough-hewn or simplistic. Its creator had an eye for living movements and captured something of duckness, or what it is to be a duck. And what better subject for a boy's first wood carving than the broadly comical duck? You can practically hear it quack. I also love the kindness of Henry Pettigrew. I believe the old man not only recognizes the budding innate talent for wood carving in Daniel, but he also recognizes a young soul, much like his own, which is why he is well able to help Daniel understand what happened without making him feel ashamed for it. Daniel can trust this kind old expert. If Henry Pettigrew says the duck is good, then the duck is good. I'd like to talk for a moment about the role a book like this can play in your child's education long term. It is almost never too early for children to have the great Greek philosopher Aristotle's famous 4 causes explained to them. In his Physics, Aristotle explains that we only know what a thing is when we know its causes, and that there are 4 kinds of cause. First, there is the formal cause, which is a thing's shape or soul. For Daniel's duck, that would be the real duck that the carving is made to imitate. Second, there is the material cause, which is the literal material out of which the thing is made. That's the block of wood. Third is the efficient or agent cause, which is the source of change or who or what makes a thing be. That's Daniel himself, the sculptor with a good knife. And fourth, the final cause, which is a thing's end or its purpose. And it's the final cause that Henry Pettigrew, like a good and wise teacher, helps Daniel see, which is that his duck's purpose is to bring delight to those who see it. I highly recommend that you buy a copy of this book and add it to your home library. Like and subscribe, but more important, if you know young parents of small children who are on the hunt for pretty good books, share this video with them. All the biggest brains are tuning in. If you remember reading Daniel's Duck yourself, or you're just excited to check it out, let me know in the comments. And also let me know, what should I review next? See you next time.
Hi.
Hi.